Hi everybody, in today's video we are going to be talking about 5 nutrition lessons I've learned from running 25,000 miles. Jumping into number 1, you cannot outrun a bad diet. I slowly but surely learned this lesson through high school and college as I increased my mileage from 40 miles a week to 60 to 80, even upwards of 100. Well, running certainly gives you more wiggle room, flexibility, and freedom to enjoy higher calorie foods like pasta, pizza, donuts, and ice cream. It certainly is not a license to eat absolutely however much you want, whenever you want. So often people underestimate how many calories they're eating and overestimate how many calories they're burning. For example, if you went on an hour run and burned 800 calories from running 7 or 8 miles, for example, and then you drove to Costco and grabbed a slice of pizza, enjoyed that pizza, but 3 or 4 minutes later, all of a sudden, that negates the calories from calories burned to calories eaten. It's so easy to overeat calories when you're eating highly processed foods, and it's often hard to estimate how many calories are actually in those foods, unless you're measuring and being meticulous about that, which can be excessive at times. So it's really important that regardless of how many miles you're running, how much you're running, that you're still being mindful of the calories consumed, including higher quality protein, high quality just whole foods. Number 2, the best diet is the one that you will follow. Professional powerlifter and world record holder Stan Efferding once said, "Compliance is the science." In other words, consistency trumps perfection. So often people with good intention find a fad, a trend, a new diet, and they jump head in. Maybe they go to the grocery store, spend a couple $100, they get all the food that adheres to this schedule, and maybe they can follow it for a couple weeks, a month, 2 months, but could you handle it for a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? At the end of the day, consistency is what breeds results. And so often it's really exciting to try something new, but you have to ask yourself, does this work with my schedule? Does this work with my budget? Does this work with the resources that I have, whether that's a kitchen or at work or wherever you are? And so often we jump into something and we follow it. We're excited to see results. Maybe it's results in a month, results in a couple months, but can you follow it for a long period of time? When I'm talking about diet, I'm just talking about what makes up the foods that you eat every day. If you were to write down all the foods that you were to eat within a Monday to Friday period, what does that look like? And so often people think of a diet as something as, oh, it's you got to lose weight on it. That's not necessarily true. Everybody is on a diet. It's just a matter of which diet you're on. And so at the end of the day, you have to find the best foods that work for you. I found these 80% of whole foods, minimally processed foods that work for me, whether that's fish, sweet potatoes, certain fruits, certain vegetables that I enjoy, that I can adhere to day in and day out, whether it's a Monday in the middle of January or a Saturday in the middle of July. I enjoy those foods, I can follow those foods, and that's how I adhere to those foods and consistently breed results. So at the end of the day, find what works for you. Try to find whole, unprocessed, minimally processed foods that you enjoy, that you can sustainably follow for a long period of time. And I promise you that's where you're gonna find results. If you think about it in a class, if you were to get an A on a test and then an F on a test and then a B on a test and then a D on a test, all of a sudden you look at over the course of the semester, your score is probably like a C plus, right? And that's not necessarily a good score. But if you were scoring a bunch of B pluses, B minus, maybe a C plus here and there, an A plus here and there, your grade is likely going to be an 85, an 86. You're going to find that B plus result. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. We're not looking for perfection. Nobody can ultimately find perfection, but it is important to find what you can adhere to over a long period of time. So number 2 is the best diet is the one that you can follow. Third lesson I learned as a runner is that adequate calories and protein matter most. It is so easy to major in the minors. And through high school and college, I tried so many different trends, dietary philosophies, food groups, etc. But at the end of the day, I found that if I was not getting enough energy or enough protein, my body could not recover. It couldn't recover, which increased the likelihood of injury. I couldn't recover, so I couldn't perform well. I couldn't sleep well. And so often, especially as I increased my mileage towards 60, 80, and even 100 miles, I found that calories and protein mattered most. While fats and carbs are energy sources and they're super important for performance, and I would favor carbs over fat when it comes to pre-race and all kinds of stuff like that, it is really important that you're giving your body enough protein to recover, rebuild, and perform. Amino acids actually play a really important role in performance. And if you're not eating enough calories, your body is going to be constantly elevating cortisol because it is not receiving enough energy. So at the end of the day, I found that regardless of what I was following, whether it was higher in starches or higher in protein, whatever the diet was, whether it was like a plant-based diet or an animal-based diet, at the end of the day, I found myself most importantly needing enough protein and calories to succeed. If I look at the seasons that I had the highest PRs, the best PRs, the lowest likelihood of injury, and vice versa, the worst PRs and the highest amount of injuries, I found that that was the trend that I most found frequently weaved throughout those seasons. Was I eating enough food, regardless of the diet I was following, and was I eating enough protein to recover and perform? So the third lesson I learned is that adequate calories and protein as a runner matter most. Fourth and final lesson that I've learned as a runner is that the bioavailability of foods matter. So often people say you are what you eat, but I would go a step farther and say you are what you absorb. So often people think that you read the nutrition label, it says 100% of vitamin C, 100% of your daily value of vitamin D and iron, etc. You're not exactly absorbing that. Just because it says that on the nutrition label, you're not absorbing it. It matters what form it's in and what's going on in your body to really understand how much it's actually absorbing. For example, vitamin A has two forms, beta carotene and retinol. Beta carotene is the form found in fruits and vegetables like carrots and sweet potatoes, whereas retinol is a food found in animal foods like liver, egg yolks, whole milk, dairy, etc. And so often people just blindly think that just because the nutrition label says I'm absorbing that much, they're absorbing that much. And that can fall really prey on runners as things like iron and other minerals can be depleted very quickly. If we go to the situation of iron, it's not just iron, it's non-heme iron and heme iron. These are two different forms found in animal foods and plant foods. So often people think spinach is a great way to get your iron levels up. And while you can add vitamin C and other synergistic minerals with the non-heme iron or the plant-based iron, it's gonna not absorb as well as animal food iron, steak, just a variety of other iron-rich foods that are found in animal form. And so it is important that as you study nutrition for yourself, discover what's best for you, that you also consider the bioavailability of food. Just because the paper value says 80%, 100%, this is a great source of this or a great source of that, that does not necessarily mean your body's going to absorb all of it. So it's important, whether it's vitamins, minerals, even protein. And so at the end of the day, those are 4 lessons that I've learned from running 25,000 miles. I hope this was valuable to you guys in your running journey, in your nutrition journey. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.